Today I'd like to continue the discussion of PFAS and the effect of these chemicals in terms of the environment, and with a particular reference here on Long Island, but of course this is a concern throughout the world. From the environment, we see contaminated sediments because of the PFASs that dissolve in water. So these forever chemicals, these persistent chemicals, not going away. So we see them in sediment, we see them in the water. They have been shown to bind to blood proteins and accumulate in the lives of marine animals. So you can see how this could affect our food chain. Certainly the fish that are going to have these chemicals, ingest these chemicals, we're eating the fish. We can see how this can obviously be a problem. And then the seabirds that feed on fish have shown among the highest levels of PFAS contamination. So if they're eating the fish and they're getting the PFAS, obviously it's going to affect human beings as well. Italy saw a real problem with this, with the 350,000 residents in Veneto. So this became a problem in the area, and they tried to address it when they noticed these particularly high levels of PFAS within so many of the residents. The PFO, a stewardship program in the U.S., is a way of dealing with it. So obviously it's an awareness that a lot of the manufacturers have had, and they want to have a stewardship program that really tries to eliminate the possible contamination and uses alternatives. The problem is that a lot of what is imported, not manufactured in the U.S., is in a lot of our consumer goods that contain these chemicals. So, for example, carpet, leather and apparel, textiles, paper and packaging, coatings, rubber, plastics, a lot of these things that are made in other countries, which might not have the regulations and the stewardship aspect that many of the chemical companies are putting forward. So they're coming into the country, and again, they're going to affect us, obviously. So the stewardship program's great idea, alternatives, excellent idea, but still does not, of course, eliminate the problem. A 2020 agreement was formulated to phase out some types of the PFASs which are used in food packaging by 2024. So obviously a good thing, because food packaging is so prevalent, the whole food supply chain. So if we can phase those out by 2024, certainly a good thing, a step in the right direction. But you have all of those chemicals from before this time that are persistent, that are forever chemicals. How do you deal with this situation and the effects of that on people? Cosmetics industry is a particular concern. It's found in many products, for example, waterproof mascara, foundations, liquid lipstick, and manufacturers, they often fail to label the products with the PFAS in them. So you're getting these products and you say, well, does it have a PFAS, does it not? And you really don't know, because they're not labeled accurately. Nassau County, according to the group, has 159 sites, Long Island 445 totally, possibly polluting the air and drinking water. Again, we don't know the extent of the pollution. It's something that we still have to continue to study and look at, but it is certainly a concern. And of course, these are only potential sites. No final determination has been made yet. So it's good to have an awareness of it, but also the realization this is a potential problem. So it's a concern, something we have to monitor, be aware of, and study. But there's no definitive answer at this time, no final determination. The real total, therefore, might be higher, might be lower. It's something that we still have to continue to study. At NASSAU, the sites were dominated by electrical firms, 41 sites, 21 metal coaters. So these were, the majority of sites were electrical firms. The PFASs are used to make non-stick pots and pans, which of course everybody loves, easy in terms of cleanup, good for preparing food, but again, with these forever chemicals always in them, how much are we absorbing into our system from these pots and pans that we're using? Suffolk had 68 electronic enterprises and 54 waste management firms. So these were the potential sites, no final determination yet. Example that people use in terms of this is the Calverton Naval Weapons Plant. 15% of the nearby private wells were found to have perfluorinated compounds. So again, this is a concern. They're in the wells. These are private wells that people are using for their water. Water supply contains these perfluorinated chemicals, possible carcinogenic chemicals that people are ingesting. Again, a real concern, something we have to be aware of and study and get to the bottom of. Criticism of the EPA, certainly the EPA is the overall organization that's in charge. What is the criticism? What are the people saying about this? Well, they say they haven't acted quickly enough. So New York, Massachusetts, California, and Maine have enacted their own measures. And again, this creates a problem because you have some states, of course, taking a very active part in this. The EPA nationally not, so you have, again, where is the product made? Where is it shipped to? You've got all of this confusion. So again, this is why this has to be obviously studied further and some final determination made about it. One solution that's offered is to regulate the PFASs as a class and not each individual variety. And certainly that would make it easier, because when you get into each different aspect of it and then studying which products, and you have over 8,000 products, you can see how this can be a mind-boggling thing, and how are we going to regulate it and study it? Very difficult. The European approach, the use is allowed of the PFAS in very limited essential purposes, such as medical or firefighting equipment, until better options are found. So they say you can use it, limited use, medical, firefighting, but try to work towards something that is not going to be this damaging to people. Not a forever chemical, not something that's a possible carcinogenic compound. Try to work towards something better, but limited to that, so it's not as widespread as we have here in the States. Governor Kathleen Hochul from New York has been urged to sign bills enacted by the legislature this year to require every state water supplier to test for 40 emerging contaminants, including dozens of PFAS chemicals. So this bill would say to the water supplier, you've got to test for these particular chemicals. Again, this could be a lifesaver, a game changer for people, so they know, well, this is in the well, this isn't. I'm drinking this in, I'm not drinking this in. Important to know that and to study that. The state DEC says it has begun similar surveys to the one that the group from Maryland has conducted 5 years ago. So, and it has melded the new map into its current investigations, and they respond immediately if any contaminants are found. So the DEC says they're on top of it, they're aware of it, they're studying it. If contaminants are found, we will act immediately. California has a stricter standard than New York, 10 parts per trillion in New York. The federal advisory is 70 parts per trillion. So again, what is the proper standard? Is it the federal standard at 70? Is it the New York standard? Is it the California, the lower standard? What is the best standard for this? How do you determine it? Again, this has to be studied, and some has to be done with some precision so that we know what the danger is, how to alleviate the danger, what to avoid. Colorado has 21,000 possible sites. California has 13,000. Oklahoma has 11,900. Texas has 6,500. Florida has 3,000. And Louisiana has 2,900. So you can see that this is a nationwide problem that certainly has to be looked into and studied. How do we look at it from a theological point of view? Why are we interested in terms of religion? Certainly we're interested because of our care for the environment. We want to make sure that we do everything we can to be good stewards in the environment, to protect it. This is an issue in terms of damage to the environment, particularly forever chemicals. Certainly the intention is good to help people, to make these products that are better for people, that are more long-lasting. But when you do that, you have these other effects, and so you have to balance it out and say, what can we do that's best for the environment, that's best for people? And so we have to study this and make a proper determination.